High in the Peruvian Andes, where the mountains touch the sky, a small tribe would rise to create one of history's greatest empires, the Inca Empire. According to legend, the Incas trace their origins to Manco Capac and Mama Oclo, children of the sun god Inti. Sent to bring order to the world, they founded the city of Cusco, the heart of a future empire. In the early days, the Inca people lived simply. They farmed maize and potatoes, herded llamas, and built villages in the fertile Cusco Valley. Life was humble, but the seeds of greatness were planted. The early Incas were not yet a powerful empire. They faced rival tribes, forged alliances, and slowly expanded their influence. Each victory strengthened the foundation for what would become a vast and organized state. Leadership was key. Early rulers of Cusco united nearby clans under one banner, establishing the principles of governance, tribute, and loyalty that would define the empire for centuries. From these humble beginnings, the Incas would rise to dominate the Andes, building roads, cities, and a civilization that still captivates the world today. But before the glory, there was struggle, and the vision of a great leader was about to change everything. In the next episode, we follow the rise of Pachacuti, the visionary ruler who transformed a small kingdom into the mighty empire of Tawantinsuyu, the Empire of Four Quarters. A visionary ruler would turn a small kingdom into an empire spanning thousands of miles. The story of Pachacuti begins. In 1438, Pachacuti rose to power in Cusco. He was not just a warrior, but a strategist and a statesman. Under his leadership, the Incas began to expand beyond the valley, conquering neighboring tribes and uniting them under one rule. Pachacuti reorganized Cusco into the capital of a centralized empire, introducing a system of governance that divided the land into 4 regions, each managed by trusted leaders. This structure would become the backbone of Tawantinsuyu, the Empire of Four Quarters. But conquest alone was not enough. Pachacuti invested in infrastructure, building roads, bridges, and terraces that connected the Andes and allowed people, armies, and goods to move efficiently across the empire. Religion and culture also flourished. Temples were built to honor Inti, the sun god, and ceremonies reinforced the unity and loyalty of the people to their emperor. By the end of Pachacuti's reign, the Incas had transformed from a small kingdom into a mighty empire, setting the stage for centuries of growth, prosperity, and influence across the Andes. At its height, the Inca Empire stretched across the Andes, a marvel of engineering, culture, and organization. Under Huayna Capac, the empire reached its greatest size, covering modern Peru, Ecuador, Bolivia, Chile, and Argentina. Roads, bridges, and terraces linked distant regions, making communication and travel across mountains possible. The Incas excelled in agriculture. Terraced fields carved into steep hillsides grew potatoes, maize, and quinoa. Llamas and alpacas provided wool, meat, and transport, sustaining communities across the empire. Society was highly organized. The Sapa Inca, or emperor, ruled from Cusco, while local leaders governed provinces, collecting tribute and overseeing labor for the state. Religion united the people. The sun god Inti was worshipped in grand temples, and festivals reinforced loyalty to both gods and emperor. With these achievements, the Inca Empire became a civilization unmatched in the Americas, blending innovation, culture, and military strength into a powerful and enduring society. But even the mightiest empire is not immune to division. Soon, internal conflict would open the door for foreign invaders and change the fate of the Incas forever. As the Inca Empire thrived, a civil war began to tear its heart apart. After the death of Huayna Capac, his sons Atahualpa and Huascar fought for control of the empire. This conflict weakened the Inca state, leaving it vulnerable to outside forces. In 1532, Spanish conquistador Francisco Pizarro arrived in the Andes. Exploiting the empire's divisions, he captured Atahualpa during a surprise attack in Cajamarca. The Spanish demanded a ransom of gold and silver, which the Incas delivered, yet Atahualpa was executed. Cusco soon fell to the invaders, and the empire's vast network of roads, cities, and people came under foreign control. Despite the conquest, many Inca communities resisted. Revolts and uprisings continued for decades, but the once mighty empire could never fully recover. The fall of the Incas marked the end of a civilization that had ruled the Andes for centuries, leaving behind stories of strength, ingenuity, and resilience. The Inca Empire, at its height, was a civilization of incredible organization, ingenuity, and culture. But its story is also one of conflict, struggle, and ultimate disappearance under the weight of conquest and internal division. Life in the empire revolved around community and labor. Villages were carefully planned, with stone or adobe homes clustered together, terraces carved into mountainsides for farming, and llamas grazing nearby. Men farmed, hunted, and served in the military, while women tended homes, wove textiles, and cared for children. Every member of society contributed to a system that allowed the empire to flourish in the challenging Andean environment. Agriculture sustained the people. Terraced fields produced potatoes, maize, quinoa, and other crops, while irrigation channels distributed water efficiently across mountainsides. Food storage centers, called kolkas, ensured that even during droughts or natural disasters, communities could survive. The Incas' knowledge of farming and resource management was unmatched in the Americas. Religion and hierarchy defined society. The Sapa Inca was seen as the son of the sun god Inti, blending political power with divine authority. Priests led ceremonies, offerings, and festivals that united the people, while the empire's 4 regional divisions allowed governors to maintain order, collect tribute, and mobilize labor for state projects. But despite these strengths, the empire was vulnerable. When Huayna Capac died in the early 16th century, he left no clear succession plan. A civil war erupted between his sons, Atahualpa and Huáscar, dividing the empire and weakening its unity. Cities, roads, and armies remained powerful, but internal strife undermined the cohesion that had made the Incas strong. In 1532, the Spanish conquistadors arrived, led by Francisco Pizarro. Exploiting the ongoing civil war, they captured Atahualpa and Cajamarca. Despite the Incas paying a massive ransom of gold and silver, Atahualpa was executed. With the leadership shattered, Cusco fell to the Spanish, and the once mighty empire was systematically dismantled. Resistance continued for decades. Some Incas fled to remote regions, maintaining small independent kingdoms, most famously at Vilcabamba. Yet by 1572, Vilcabamba fell, marking the end of the Inca state. The combination of disease brought by Europeans, military conquest, and internal divisions led to the disappearance of the Inca as a dominant political force. What remains today is the legacy of the people who lived in harmony with the Andes for centuries, their roads, terraces, temples, and stories. The empire vanished politically, but the memory of its ingenuity, resilience, and culture endures in the descendants of the Inca, the Quechua language, and the astonishing ruins that continue to captivate the world. The story of the Inca is a story of rise and fall, of human achievement and vulnerability, and of a civilization that, though gone from power, still whispers across the mountains of Peru. Even the mightiest empires can crumble from within. For the Incas, the seeds of collapse were sown long before the Spanish arrived. In the early 16th century, the death of Huayna Capac from disease, likely smallpox introduced by Europeans, sparked a succession crisis. His 2 sons, Huáscar and Atahualpa, each claimed the throne, dividing the empire. What had once been a unified state stretched across mountains, valleys, and deserts now became a battlefield of rival factions. The civil war was brutal. Armies marched across the Andes, cities were besieged, and thousands of people suffered. Neighboring regions were forced to choose sides, fracturing the social cohesion that had held the empire together for generations. While the empire's roads, terraces, and temples remained, the heart of Inca authority, centralized leadership, was torn apart. Amid this chaos, Spanish conquistadors led by Francisco Pizarro arrived in 1532. They were vastly outnumbered, yet the internal division of the Incas made conquest possible. Using cunning strategy and firearms, Pizarro captured Atahualpa in the town of Cajamarca during a surprise attack. The Inca emperor, surrounded and unarmed, was taken hostage. The Spanish demanded an enormous ransom in gold and silver, which the Incas delivered, yet Atahualpa was executed anyway. The death of Atahualpa devastated the empire. Without clear leadership, the Inca military struggled to organize. The Spanish advanced to Cusco, the capital, encountering little coordinated resistance. The empire that had once stretched across thousands of miles fell apart rapidly, not because of lack of skill or courage, but because its unity had been shattered by internal conflict. Even after Cusco fell, resistance continued in remote regions. The last Inca stronghold at Vilcabamba held out for decades, a hidden bastion of hope. Yet smallpox, European weapons, and constant military pressure gradually eroded their defenses. By 1572, Vilcabamba was conquered, and the political structure of the Inca Empire ceased to exist. The collapse of the Inca Empire was not the result of a single battle or conqueror. It was a perfect storm of disease, internal strife, and foreign invasion. The people survived, but the empire, once the largest in the Americas, vanished from history as a centralized power. What remains are ruins of cities, roads winding through mountains, terraces carved into cliffs, and stories passed down through generations, reminders of an empire that rose, flourished, and fell in the shadow of the Andes.